Check 1, 2. Good afternoon, race fans. Welcome back. I am Scorpio Blade. Thank you all once again for tuning in. Round 16 of the Scorpio Super Formula Championship and the Brazilian Grand Prix coming to you live from the virtual Interlagos Raceway. As you can see, cars are already out on track for the 10-minute qualifying session here today. Who will take pole position here for the first of our final 3 rounds of this championship? Currently out on track at the moment. As you can see, we are riding on board with Adaptive Inc., excuse me, aka Larson. Last week's winner, he'll be looking to go back-to-back and earn his 4th victory on the season. He dives his way down the hill, heading toward Jungsao, and what is one of the most important corners on the lap here, as it is a long, flat-out stretch all the way back to the start-finish line. Going to be important for not only completing the lap, but also getting up to speed for your next flyer. As you can see now, he'll stay over to the left-hand side of the track, minimize the distance to the line, and we'll cross the line at a 14.4, current fastest lap of the session. Should mention, in practice, we've seen many lap times down and around the low 14s, high 13s, so definitely still some room for improvement. As go ahead and say, Super S2K goes and puts it on pole, and then immediately goes for a spin, exiting the Senna S. So Super S2K, our championship leader, currently on pole now, or net pole position for the moment, 1:14.2 flat. As it looks like there might have been a bit of contact caused the spin. Ryan, who is currently second in the championship, looking to take the title fight to his teammate. Going to need a bit of little bit of luck if he's going to go for the title, but it is still mathematically possible. He's realistically going to need to win the final 3 races of the season and hope well, I guess we'll get to the championship points in a little bit, as we watch Ryan now charge up to the line, and what will be a 14.4 fastest lap for him puts him about 0.2 back from Larson and 3 off of his teammate. Larson improved a little bit. He's now taken himself down to a 14.3. That's very interesting. They're literally a 10th between the 2 front runners at the moment. Quite a bit of storylines surrounding these 2 drivers, especially after last week. So it will be very interesting to watch how they both decide to navigate turn 1. Larson, purple sector, as he now rounds through Jungsao, climbing the hill now up to the start-finish line. Can he find himself on pole position? Absolutely no problems, Ivan. Hopefully you feel hope you feel better soon. Definitely hope to see you back out on track at some point later this season. But of course, always happy to broadcast these events live here on the Scorpio eSports channel. most of our drivers now exiting the pit lane, getting set for their potentially final runs of the session now with less than half the session remaining. 5 minutes 30 seconds in. Should be enough time for 2 more flyers if they do a push, cool down, and push. I don't know if I already mentioned it, but of course, in qualifying and the opening lap of the race, no overtake available to these drivers. So we'll make sure to go through each of them at the end of the session, make sure they're abiding to that rule. So Larson now on the net pole position, 2.5 tenths up from Super S2K, who is just about half a tenth up on King, who has found his way into the top 3. King, of course, made his first start out in Watkins Glen last time out. Put together a very strong performance. So should be very exciting to see what he can do here in Brazil. Ryan now down into 4th place for the moment. Gramenos holding strong in 5th, crossing the line to go invalidated lap. Alex, another one of the Scorpio drivers, running in 6th at the moment. I believe he just came off of a appearance in the iRacing British Formula 4 for Scorpio eSports, so solid run from him is what I heard. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to catch the F4 race, the F4 races, but if you ever want to go watch those, they are Wednesdays at, I believe, 3 p.m. Eastern on the iRacing channel. Go ahead and cheer on Alex and the other Scorpio eSport drivers. It's been a difficult season, but they have made some incredible drives in and amongst the mix as well. So looking forward to watching them continue to compete, as I believe Silverstone is the next round in that championship. As we now come up to the 8-minute mark in our qualifying session, 2 minutes remaining. So these drivers should have time for 1, potentially 2 more laps if they're able to get back around in time. Lester now up into 7th place. I believe this is his 2nd race back from a bit of a mid-season hiatus. But looks to be strong as ever. Had another driver with a great result out last time in Watkins Glen. Going to be looking to perform perhaps a little better here today. Supa has found his way up into 6th place. He had a very poor outing at Watkins Glen. Car just didn't seem to be quite suited for the track, whether through the setup. Unfortunately, we missed a apparently very horrendous accident he had. A very hard snap into on the exit of the inner loop, which is what caused his engine damage, and ultimately retired from the session after that. So he'll be looking to rebound and get himself back into the fight for 4th in points. Rybird running in 9th place as he looks to complete his outlap and get set to go for a full push. And Method as well has been out on circuit for a few laps here. He'll probably be coming into the pits relatively soon with how little fuel he's got left. It is still Larson who leads from Super S2K, your front 2. King has actually closed the gap even more on Super S2K on the leaderboard. Hasn't been able to jump him for position just yet. And Ryan is also closed quite a ways in as well. Only 3.5 tenths separating our front 4 drivers. This could be a very exciting battle for the race win here today. As time expires, this will be each of these drivers' final laps here. As we'll look to see who the first one across the line. Oh, so that's Lester, who has gone for a spin, but that was his session done with anyway. trying to see who that is leading the train, coming up to the line. Either way, Larson charging up through the final corner. Can he find any improvements? Yes. Yes, he did go a little bit faster. Larson on pole for now. 13.9, fastest lap of the session. Great lap from him. Super S2K ultimately going to come up just a little bit short at a 14.3. No, sorry, that's not his best lap time. Either way, Super S2K will line up P2. King finds himself third place on the starting grid once again. And Ryan will line up P4. Pressure potentially mounting for the second place driver in the championship. He will be looking to try to win today's race. 70 laps ahead of our drivers here today. So it will be quite a long one. But nevertheless, should give each of our drivers plenty of time to play around with pit strategy. Of course, as always, mandatory tires to be used. The soft and medium at some point during the session. Of course, the hard tire available to them, which we saw get put to great effect in Watkins Glen last time out. So we'll see how these drivers, or what these drivers decide to do for pit strategy as we get ready and begin to make final preparations for today's running. So with the grid all set for today's race, let's take a quick look at the championship standings after round 15 in Watkins Glen. It was an absolute barnstormer, by the way. Last time out, with at times 5 cars in contention for the podium and possibly the win. But it was, as we said, Larson taking home his 3rd win of the season, followed by championship contender Ryan and newcomer King rounding out the podium. Championship leader Super S2K was also in contention, but unfortunately contact with Larson around the midway point of the race. Excuse me, goodness gracious. Which race officials would eventually deem a racing incident, by the way. So no fault put on either driver, or no penalizing fault put on either driver. Unfortunately, that incident saw S2K's chances of victory slip away as he suffered heavy suspension damage and a hard crash into the outside wall exiting the inner loop. Fortunately for him, he was able to continue and recovered back to an 8th place finish. I believe that will count toward his drop rounds, which means his drop rounds, unless he has a early race DNF or disconnect, those are all of his drop rounds most likely accounted for. And so now, with only 3 races remaining and a 25-point cushion separating the 2 teammates, S2K seems to have one hand on the trophy for the title, but he won't be able to mathematically clinch it just yet this week. But where things get interesting is if Ryan can win the final 3 races of the season, and if he's able to score fastest lap in 2 of them, with S2K finishing 3rd in all 3 with no fastest laps, Ryan mathematically would win the title by 1 point. Looking a bit further back in the standings, Larson continues to build on his lead in 4th place in the standings over Sanchez and Payme. Gramenos with his 4th place last week catapults himself into the fight for 5th, jumping both Philo and Supa, and now 5th through 11th in the standings are separated by just 11 points, excuse me. So with the title fight allegedly all but wrapped up, eyes are beginning to look incredibly close at that battle in the midfield. Final preparations now just about being completed, as we will get ready to get underway for the Brazilian Grand Prix. And we should hopefully be going any moment, and there it is. 70 laps ahead of us here in Sao Paulo. Should be a very exciting race indeed. Ten drivers will look to the lights now as they get ready to get underway. Larson ahead of Super S2K, ahead of King, ahead of Ryan. Your top four on the grid. The lights come on as we get ready. And it is go, go, go! King with a bit of a poor start. That is going to allow Ryan to get up the inside potentially. Larson with a great start. Immediately out in front. Super S2K is going to slap back in line. He's already half a second behind. Larson is running away immediately. King holds on to third. Ryan in fourth. Lester fifth, followed by Gramenos, Alex, Supa, Rybird, and Method bringing up the tail end of the field. Larson now down through... I forgot to pull up my track map. I forget the corner name. Climbing up the hill, King, and that is Ryan side by side potentially for third. Looking around the outside, not going to be able to make the move happen. Now down into turn 8. Everyone now single file. Lester still ahead of Gramenos, followed by Alex running, that is 5th through 7th. Super S2K trying to get back in, already over a second behind Larson, who is really running away here at the jump. Finally got my track map up. Out of Zhongsao and up the hill. Larson continuing to pull away here. Hasn't used overtake, that's the crucial thing, so if anyone was looking to it, that was a legal lap 1. King immediately crosses the line and begins to use the overtake. That might have been a little early. We'll let the race stewards make the call on that potentially. He definitely used it on the front straight, but as long as he used it after the start-finish line, he should be fine. Excuse me. Down through Desida del Lago, that's the corner name. And now up the hill through the Fedadura, turn 6, that is. 6 and 7 apparently are listed together for whatever reason. Very interesting. King all over the back of Super S2K, though. Going to be looking to capitalize on the tire advantage he has at the moment. King running the soft tire for his opening stint like he did back in Watkins Glen. Super S2K starting on the medium like he's done for most of this season so far. And Larson, that's why he's been able to run away, also on the soft compound tire, now already up to a 2-second lead. Super S2K, though, on the overtake, trying to defend from King. And yes, Lester has dropped down the grid. We will drop back in just a moment to make sure that he doesn't have any damage on his car. King thought about the overtake, not going to be able to do anything to get around S2K just yet. But he is using quite a lot of overtake already, and it's only lap 3 now. Looks to the outside again, but S2K is going to be able to cover him off. While we have a brief moment, Ryan still running 4th, Gramenos 5th, Alex 6th, Lester, no damage, running in 7th, might have just had a moment somewhere earlier in the lap. Supa in 8th, Rybird 9th, and Method still running 10th. Everyone has been able to keep their noses clean from the off. King all over the gearbox of Super S2K. There's been quite a lot of talk of lag in the servers and, of course, the classic Gran Turismo contact model, and how much it's really been affecting the wheel-to-wheel racing these past few weeks. King putting all of that to the wayside at the moment, not afraid to get right up close to Super S2K, defending to the inside very aggressively. King going to look around the outside, going to try to switch him back as they come into Curva del Sol. King looking to the outside once again. Super S2K going to try to cover him off. Here comes King with the run, using the overtake, side by side, into Curva... I pressed the wrong button, into Curva del Sol. Super S2K late on the brakes. He's going to try to cover him off, and does so just. Very aggressive driving. King's going to find his nose in as they come up through turn 6 and 7. and he will finally get the spot. But he's used almost half the overtake to make that happen, even with the tire advantage. You gotta think that's gonna hurt him later on in the running, as now he's gonna have to set his sights forward and try to run away from Super S2K as much as he can, before inevitably he will need to make a pit stop earlier on. S2K already about 8/10ths back. Ryan now starting to come under fire from Graunos and Alex. No tire advantage for the trailing two cars. Alex also running on the soft compound tire, as Ivan did point out. It looks like only the German drivers, for whatever reason, have gone with this soft first strategy. Alex all over the gearbox of Graunos. How big snap of oversteer as he got up over the curb. He holds on to it, but he's going to drop back quite a few tenths. He will settle back in. And that's going to be something these drivers need to watch out for. These curbs around here can be deadly. They are wide and they are flat, but there are some portions of them that are a bit raised. And so you can basically skateboard the underside of these cars. If you're not careful, it is very easy to lose the back end and find yourself in a horrific accident. Alex now, after that moment, already right back onto the gearbox of Graunos as he sets his sights on that top 5. Graunos looking around, trying to close in a little bit more on Ryan. Still about 7/10ths back, using the slipstream advantage that he's got off of Ryan, or using the slipstream to his advantage off of Ryan, as Alex runs a little bit deep going into turn 1. That's going to compromise his run out. But now back into the slipstream, and he's going to start to close back in again. Purple sector for Alex that time through. Still yet to use the overtake button, so he's being very patient with his usage already. Of course, only lap 6 at the moment. Yes, Inc. is on soft, so correction, it is not all German drivers on the softs. I apologize about that. And there is confirmation Inc. is running the soft compound tire. Excuse me. 4th through 6th continuing to close in on one another at the moment. Alex now sitting about half a second off of Graunos, who is about half a second off of Ryan out in front, leading this train. Graunos sporting that new Scorpio Next livery. Alex with yet another moment coming out of turn 2 that time. The Senna S not proving to be a very strong sequence of corners for him at the moment. Going to need to be careful with the curbs, and especially coming out of turn 4 to Ciudad del Lago. That exit curb, if you're not, well, not necessarily the curb itself, but the AstroTurf on the other side is very slick, so these drivers will need to be careful about how they put the power down going through that section, as it really caught out Larson quite a few times in the practice session leading up to qualifying. Graunos still running in the 5th place position, now actually closer to Ryan than he is to Alex. I say that as Alex then puts together a mighty corner through Zhengsao. Closing back in. I can't tell if he's using the overtake. I've got chat messages popping up on my screen blocking it, so I apologize for that. I don't believe he used it down that front straight, but he is once again right on the back of Graunos now. Going through Curva del Sol. 2.5 tenths back. Does he look to make a move? No, he's going to sit back in line. And like all of the F4 training that he's been getting from Ivan, he's going to continue to put patience to good use, preserve momentum. No need to make aggressive moves when there's very little to be gained. It's very interesting to see the different lines that these drivers are taking through that turn 10. Basically a hairpin corner. The slowest point on the circuit. With the way it's cambered, it really allows for these drivers to utilize a few different angles of attack to go through that corner. Alex now using the overtake. He got a much better run out of the final corner. He will clear Gramenos before they even get back down to turn 1. Looked like Gramenos might have put a tire in the grass, got a little bit loose on entry, but he's going to be able to hold on to it. Does he think about a counterattack down the Retta Aposta? Tucked up in the slipstream, faked it to the inside, trying to throw Alex off. Not going to work, and he will have to sit behind for the time being. Alex now solidly into the 5th place position as he looks ahead and looks to make an attack on Ryan. Meanwhile, further up front, Super S2K now 2 seconds back from King, who is a further 4 seconds back from Larson at the moment. King now exiting the final corner. Tires getting to just about halfway worn through. Of course, as we learned was it last week or 2 weeks ago? I don't remember. Anyway, King, apparently one of the few drivers in this series using a controller, which would go a bit of a ways to explain the tire wear disadvantage that he has compared to say, the AMS drivers, who have been known to have some of the best tire wear across the grid for pretty much the entire series. So it'll be very interesting to see just how long he will be able to make those soft tires last for. Looks like a few of you guys seem to be estimating about 20 laps or so. Looking to get out of the softs, which would leave 50 to go for potentially 1 or 2 medium stints. Super S2K out of the final corner, beginning to close back in now as that tire wear, or the tire wear on the softs, begins to fall off, as now the medium tire will start to come into its own and prove to be the better tire. Of course, he's begun to close in a little bit on King here. The real question is going to be how much will he be able to close back in on Larson. So keep an eye on that 6.3 second gap. That will be the one to the leader for everyone to keep their eye out for. Super S2K now, fastest opening sector of the lap, as Ryan has now begun to pull back away a little bit from Alex as his tires begin to have the advantage over those very worn softs. Alex really putting a lot of heat through them. Very aggressively using that right front tire. Of course, one of the few clockwise or counterclockwise, rotating circuits on the Formula One calendar. And yeah, that would be my thought exactly. But 20 laps might be a bit of a stretch for some of these guys on the soft compound tire. Potentially a little bit further into the race, if they were to use it for their final stint, would probably be a little bit better once with the lower fuel loads. But Not looking very strong for the moment, this soft tire. Ryan now up to a full second lead over Alex as that tire continues to fall off. Hopefully the extra clean air will help him to clean off that tire a little bit, find a little bit more performance again. But he's going to have Gramenos now to contend with. Running the medium, he'll look to get back up into that top 5 spot. Lester has continued to drop back a little bit, still running in 7th, but now only a second ahead of Supa. Both drivers on the medium. And then Rybird and Method still round out the grid, both of them running the medium as well. Larson, I would say, now officially 50% wear on his tires, so of the soft tire runners, he's definitely the best off, although the copious amounts of clean air that he has out in front of him certainly will be helping that. And still running only about 1/10 of a second off of his personal best. He holds the fastest lap at the moment at a 15.3, so very consistent lap times coming out of him. King now, though, only about 3.5 seconds back, so he has managed to close in by about half a second on Larson. And Super S2K has also really begun to close back in as well. I wonder if Larson potentially... Hey, Larson must have made a mistake. Look at the lap times. Last lap was a 1:18.1. He lost 2 seconds to the drivers behind him. So potentially quite a bit of a moment he would have had somewhere. I would imagine going through Descida del Lago once again would be my guess. There or coming out of here and into Curva del Sol would be my other guess as to where he had the issue. But he is back up to speed now and immediately building back up to a 4-second lead. Super S2K now beginning to close back in on King here. Now just 7/10ths back. Again, that medium tire really starting to come into its own now. The growing question now becoming, does King end up pitting before Super S2K catches him? Both drivers now dropping down the hill. This long, sweeping left-hand corner feeds you immediately into Zhongsao. Climbing back up the hill again. A fantastic sequence of corners. Some of the finest in the world as these drivers continue to navigate their way around. To start now, lap 15 of 70. Larson now 4.2 ahead of this growing battle for second at the moment. King now another fastest opening sector on the lap. I don't know if he used a little bit of overtake there, but certainly a very good opening sequence of corners to match it. Still managing to hold off Super S2K for now. Larson not too far up the road. So there's still the potential for a battle for the win here. Looking a little further back. Ryan now finally out on his own for the time being, having dropped Gramenos, who has gotten back around Alex, I should say. Lester still running 7th and now slowly starting to pull away from Supa. And then Rybird and Method rounding out the field. Alex, first driver into the pits, lap 15. We'll see what he decides to do here for tire strategy. Pulls into his box. Of course, reminder, these drivers cannot take fuel. And it is a very good stop. He is out on the mediums. And he will exit back right next to Method here on the pit exit. This could be troublesome for him if he's going to have to sit behind Method for a few corners. Not going to help his chances with trying to undercut Gramenos for that 5th place. I'm sure he will now have been wanting to go that extra lap, suffer the slower lap time just to clear Method. Meanwhile, as I was talking about that, Super S2K goes around King, who I think might have had a bit of an incident coming into the pits. Potentially ran wide at Zhang Sao would be my guess, but is now into the pit lane. And he will now pit at the end of lap 16. I would assume onto a set of mediums, and is. And should come out ahead of Alex here. And does. Alex now, of course, back up into 9th, having gotten around Method somewhere in the infield. Larson now boasting a 4.5 second lead over Super S2K, but that gap is coming down. Larson's last lap is 17.0. Super S2K's last lap is 16.9, basically. So Super S2K closing in a little bit here, but only by about a 10th a lap. And as I say, Larson now into the pits. So 15 to 17 laps, all of our soft tire runners have managed, and we will see where Larson now comes out of the pits. And also on the medium compound tire, does he stay ahead of Rybird will be the main question for him. Easily so. Will easily stay ahead of Rybird, so that's one less car to deal with in traffic. And he will have 3.5 or so seconds up the road to Supa to catch. So it's now unofficially an AMS 1-2, at least on track at the moment. Of course, pit cycles ongoing at the moment. So let's wait and see now how long these medium tire runners think they can go for. S2K now with a basically a 5-second lead over his teammate Ryan. Gramenos only 2 seconds back, though. I believe he's been closing in a bit. Well, maybe not on that last couple laps. Never mind. Ryan is 16.6 to a 16.8. Gramenos running 3rd at the moment. Lester now promoted into 4th with the pit cycle. Super running 5th. And Larson, having closed in by a little over a second on that previous lap, with another purple sector form, continuing to close in on Supa at a rapid rate. Further back, Rybird and King. Only a second between them. King, though, with a half-second time penalty for track limits. He will need to serve that. That could potentially really hinder him here, as he's going to need to serve that as he catches up to Rybird. So not only is he being held up by Rybird here, but he's also now going to have to wait and then re-overtake him because of that penalty. So what likely would have been a very easy move down into turn 1 now becomes another occasion of recatch and try again. An unfortunate error, which proves to be a little more costly than he would have liked. King's gonna fake to the inside again. Not close enough, though, to Ryberg to think about a move. We've seen some aggressive moves from him already this race. Where does he think about making the move here on the 14 car? Oh, big snap of oversteer coming out of, that is... I'm not going to be able to pronounce that corner name. Turn 9. Now down through turn 11 and into Zhongsao once again. He should be able to just line himself up to get around Ryberg here. Use the slipstream and overtake to his advantage. And will do so. He's going to tuck out to the outside, get on the overtake button. And he should easily sail past Ryberg here, going down into turn 1, and does. I've also just noticed it is a relatively strong headwind going down into turn 1 here. So a costly pit cycle for King at the moment, it seems. Going to be quite the challenge for him now to find his way onto the podium, one would think. As we look back up front, Gramenos has continued to close in. Now only 1.2 back off of Ryan. We heard him mention last week in the interviews. Ryan thought that this track would be another strong showing for him. And although he's running second at the moment, he's coming under fire from Gramenos, who I don't think we've seen take the challenge to the AMS drivers yet all season. So potentially a little bit out of form. Could this be the first week where Ryan finishes off the podium on pace? Under a second now between the two drivers. Super S2K now out to a 6.5 second lead. Gramenos is absolutely flying at the moment. And it's not even a matter of he's managed to take care of his tires better. Ivan raises a very good point. Gramenos now, with his IRL duties becoming much lesser now. Now that Greece is out of the tourist season, he's been able to put much more practice time in. Supa now, the first of the medium tire runners into the pits. So it's not necessarily that the AMS boys have gotten slower, but Gramenos has managed to find a huge chunk of pace. Supa out of the pits and onto the soft tire now. Potentially a little early to get the soft tire out of the way here. We will have to see, as he's going to come out of the pits and blend in just in front of Method. And fortunately for him, won't be held up by slower traffic. We will focus back up on that battle for a second at the moment. Only 7 tenths now between Ryan and Gramenos. Ryan is 16.8 to a 16.7. That time by. Lester, next car into the pits. He will be looking to cover off Supa here. As Larson and King now, of course, having already made their pit stops, and Alex will cycle through. Rybird still yet to pit. And Lester out onto a second set of mediums. Ryan seemingly pulling away a little bit here on this lap. Seems to be finding quite a lot of his lap time through the slower infield section, as we'll call it. But that gap very quickly coming back down again on the straights. Gramenos potentially with a little less downforce on the car as he closes in within 7/10 of a second, excuse me. Oh, Gramenos a little wide. You heard the lockup happen for him going through turn 1. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. Fortunately, able to keep it on track, able to hold it together for the most part. But now back to 9/10 behind Ryan. Larson, meanwhile, now only 7 seconds back from that battle for second place, and 15 off of the lead that Super S2K holds. Again, top 3 still yet to pit, as well as Rybird in 7th. And here comes Super S2K into the pit lane. So it won't be a one-stop for Super S2K here. As he comes into the pits, we would assume he will try to go for another set of mediums, and does. So we'll expect him now to go to about lap 50 or so, and then potentially he could try to run softs for 20 laps to the end. And King has managed to get the undercut on him, but of course on older tires, which S2K will need to work around. So how will this affect Super S2K's run for the win? We saw that Larson was 15 seconds back from Super S2K when he made his pit, when S2K came into the pits. S2K now 13 seconds back from the leader. Or no, sorry, that is King, who was that far back. S2K 14 back from the leader. Looks to be about 8.5 back from Larson. So about a 23-24 second pit delta here. As King has continued to pull away a little bit here. Gap now back up to a 1.6, now dropping to a 1.5 second lead over S2K. Ryan still out in front, continuing to lead. Again, 1.1 seconds clear of Gramenos. He's continued to pull away for the time being. What does Ryan do for a pit strategy? Of course, you would have seen in the chat, Ivan did mention the potential for one of, if not both of the AMS drivers attempting a one-stop. That has pretty much sealed Super S2K's hand. He will be going for a 2 here. But with the tires in the state that they currently are, Ryan might be able to get those tires to around about lap 35 or so before he needed to pit for softs. Could he potentially look to do a 2-stop, but instead of a medium soft, could he do a medium soft to the end? Find a little bit of lap time that way. But don't look now. Larson has managed to catch these two, and that could very well put an end to Ryan's attempted one-stop strategy. As this would put, if Larson is able to clear these two, that would put him a full pit stop ahead. Another purple sector for Larson, who still holds the fastest lap at a 15.3. Now just under 8 tenths back from Gramenos. 6 tenths. King holding on about 7 and a bit seconds back. S2K a further 1.4 back from him. Less than half a second now. Gramenos over Larson. Where does Larson look for the move? Larson, 2 tenths back. He's going to use a slightly wider line through Curva del Sol. He's going to look to the inside of Gramenos, fires it up the inside under the brakes, and will clear himself into second, as he will now set his sights after Ryan out front. Already under a second back from Ryan at the moment. As they continue to work lap 30, coming up to lap 31 here of 70. So nearly halfway through the race. King still holding 1.3, 1.2 ahead of S2K. And Alex now 9 seconds behind them for the moment. This is the closest battle on track now. Larson continuing to hound Ryan at the moment. Closes right up under the gearbox through that turn 10 hairpin. And he should be in a very good spot to try to get around the AMS driver, but look at the overtake. He's not got much left. And unlike F1, that does not regenerate. He will continue to use a little bit here as he charges down to turn 1. But Ryan does use some to defend as well. Gramenos, the first of these drivers into the pits. All over the gearbox of Ryan. Gotta be careful. There were quite a few comments from Ryan especially about Larson kind of using his car to get around a corner. There were a couple instances last time out as they went through the carousel at Watkins Glen that Ryan was not very fond of. So we'll see how these two race here. This is absolutely going to drop Larson a little bit further back. Ryan still looking defensive for the moment. And this could play into Super S2K's hands if Ryan can hold him off for long enough. Oh, Larson with another bit of a very aggressive dive at Jung Sao. Look to the inside. I don't know if he was intending a move or just trying to fake and broke a little bit late. But contact was certainly made. And yes, this is absolutely bringing King and the Super S2K into the battle. Larson out of overtake to use. He's gonna have to rely pretty purely on slipstream to get around Ryan now. And Ryan, of course, still has just about half a tank left of overtake to use. How aggressive will he get, especially on those fresher tires? Looks to the outside at turn 10 again. He tried very hard to sail it around the outside, just not enough grip to make it happen. Another dive at Jung Sao again. Another bit of contact and drains the rest of the overtake. That is it for him. Still tucked up under Ryan's rear wing. He's going to look to the inside now, going into turn 1. They're both going to hold each other to the inside. A lot of contact made. Very interesting battle for position there. Unfortunately, the camera just didn't change soon enough for us to really catch it. So we'll look back at a replay of it later. Ryan's going to use the overtake, try to dive it back up the inside. Not going to get there quite yet. Ryan looking to get back in front, but those tires just are not providing him the grip that he needs, and so that will be the end of that for him. We will very quickly try to take a look at that battle for position. Going to ride on board with Larson here as he kind of faked to the outside, dove it to the inside. Just very late moving from both of those drivers. I thought they were alongside going into the braking zone, evidently not. Both then moved right back to the racing line. We'll see what the stewards have to say about it. As now Ryan under attack from King. And this is continuing to allow S2K to close in at a rate of knots here. Halfway through this race, Ryan yet to make a pit stop. But of course, with everyone still needing to make at least one more stop here, this is either for position or irrelevant now unless Ryan is able to hold on to his tires, I should say, not necessarily the position. And S2K now all over the back of King here. Oh, I'm pressing the wrong buttons again. We'll ride on board with S2K as he potentially looks to make a run for third place here. Gets on the overtake, looks to the outside. And he will get around King. Looks to the inside on his teammate as well. 2 for 1 down the front straight, and he will get them both. S2K now up into second place. I don't know if Ryan potentially gave him the spot there, but he certainly did not fight his teammate very hard. And now King up the inside, and he will pick off Larson for third place. And as all that happens, Supa is into the pits to get off of those soft compound tires. A fantastic move for Super S2K there, as he will now set his sights back after Larson, and with the tire advantage, only 3 seconds, he should be able to close right back in. And of course, let's not forget, both of these drivers still need to make one more stop. S2K has the softs to use, or is required to still use the softs. Larson has run both sets of tires, so if he wants to match S2K and going to the softs, he's going to have to protect his tires a bit. Ryan now finally into the pits. Battle for fifth, actually. Very lucky to catch that. Alex defending from Gramnos, who will find his way up into fourth place, running on the softs, yet to use the overtake for the Greek driver. So Gramnos now up into fourth place, should be able to run away a bit from Alex here. Ryan now out of the pits and into sixth, now onto the softs. And I would imagine we'll be doing a soft strategy to the end here. So with half the race run on the medium, just needs to run about a quarter of that. So about 15 or so laps now he needs to do on this set of tires. Should be fairly easy for him. Larson's still out in front, but only a 2.5 second lead over S2K, who is continuing to close in. Last lap for him, a 16.1. Larson, a 16.6. S2K looking to find his way back up onto the top step of the podium, having missed out on picking up some hardware these last two race weekends. Obviously, the Turn 1 melee at Monza really hampered any chance of a win there, combined with a amateur hour wreck, it should be said, of newcomer driver just reversing back out onto the circuit directly into onto the racing line ahead of Super S2K. There's nothing he could do there. And then, of course, Watkins Glen, the controversial moment between our leading two drivers. Larson, an aggressive overtake around the outside at the inner loop. Again, a reminder: no further the incident was deemed a racing incident. So no penalty was handed to either driver. The incident deemed just an unfortunate case of lag and Gran Turismo physics. So we'll see how much that plays on the mind of Super S2K as he just looks to be a bit inevitable at this point. Gap now only 1.5 back from Larson. S2K, the dominant driver all season, looking to pick up yet another win. Looking for his 7th win on the season. Super S2K, as Larson looks to pick up his 4th. .2 now the gap, with 31 laps to go. And that's a very good point as well. Super S2K with plenty of overtake to spare in his car. Larson doesn't have any to defend with, so he will have to rely entirely on mechanical grip and the placement of his car. But it might not be enough, as all it will take is Super S2K just being under his gearbox but by the time they exit the final corner, and he should be able to just blow by him right on the straight. Gap now officially under a second, as S2K continues to hunt down the race leader. King still holding on to 3rd place for the moment, dropping to nearly, again, running the softs. So he'll just be looking to build about a pit stop gap, and then whatever lap he happens to have enough distance over Alex, that will be when he makes the call to pit for either mediums or softs to go to the end. Speaking of, Alex now into the pits for what should be his final stop of the day. I would assume he will be going to another set of mediums to finish out the race. Ryan now up into 5th. So that could be a battle to watch here, is Ryan catching Gramenos. Again, we're assuming Ryan cannot do 35 laps on the softs, and so will ultimately need to pit again. But if he can run another set of them, both he and Gramenos need to make one more stop apiece. He could find his way back up into 4th, which he will need to do if he wants any hope of mathematically staying in the championship fight. This could also be this is growing to be increasingly likely to be his first race off the podium that won't be a drop round. He's already had 3 races off the podium so far this season. But with the drop rounds, we've been saying he's the only driver to still have a finishing record on the podium. That could very well come to an end today. Still closing in on Gramenos, but not at a crazy rate of knots. King now officially 3 seconds back from S2K, who is now only half a second back from Larson, and he's starting to use that overtake. Does he think about the move down into turn 1 here? A huge head of steam coming down the front straight, and he will immediately clear Larson going off into turn 1, and that is the move. Nothing Larson could have done to defend that. And S2K will continue to rocket away on those fresher tires. And that very well could have been the move for the win here today. King still holding on to a very respectable 3rd place for the moment. Actually closing in a little bit on Larson. for the time being, despite being on pretty much equal tires. As I believe we now have closing in on about 25 laps to go. I believe we're sitting at about 27, 28 laps to go at the moment. Gramenos actually with the fastest lap of the race at the moment, I've just noticed. 15.3 fastest lap for him. So still a little bit of a ways to get back down to qualifying times as King comes into the pits yet again. 27 laps to go. I would assume this will be for another set of mediums still. And it is. So King should now be going to the end on this set of tires. We'll see how close he can stay to Ryan for the moment. As Ryan now with the fastest lap of 13.330. Beats out Gramenos by a couple hundredths of a second. So potentially the battle for third is what's heating up here. King, of course, again, going to the end. Currently 4 seconds off the back of Ryan. So he is obviously in the best position for the moment in terms of taking home that third place finish at the end of the day. But it is also, Gramenos could still find his way onto the podium with a good enough pit strategy. Likely just needs to take these tires another 10 or so laps, and then he will be able to put on one final set of softs and go to the end here. And he has got about a 13.5 second lead over King. So it's not a full pit stop, but he's got about half a pit stop on him, which I would imagine he should be able to close in with one fresh set of softs over a decaying medium by that point in the stint. Especially with how much fuel burn these drivers have been doing. Speaking of, Larson into the pits. 25 laps to go. If he thinks he's good for tire wear, does he think about going for softs, or does he play it safe and take it out into fourth place, excuse me? It's going to actually be very close between him and King. King with the momentum. Going to tuck up into the slipstream. Does he look to the outside? No, he's going to sit behind Larson. I'm very surprised he didn't attempt the move. He's got the momentum now, and he's still going to sit behind him. Very strange. This is a battle for position. King has willingly decided not to try to overtake Larson. Very interesting call from the driver in 5th place. So Super S2K now out in front. I didn't realize that they were quote-unquote teammates. Okay, duly noted. Method with the time penalty. That'll be track limits, most likely coming out of... I'm forgetting the name, the Senna S. How did I forget that name? Anyway, Gramenos now into P2 for the moment as the pit cycles continue through. 12 seconds back from S2K. Larson, 25 back. So S2K still has the pit stop gap on him. But realistically, the earliest S2K could pit would be 4 or so laps from now. So Larson has about 3.5 laps here to get inside that pit window and get as far inside that pit window as he can to try to build as much of a cushion over S2K as possible. Ryan's still running in the 3rd place position at the moment, now under 9 seconds to Gramenos. Of course, both of these drivers still needing to pit, but Ryan with the tire advantage. So unsure if Larson and King are teammates, but either way, King certainly acted like one in choosing not to fight Larson down into turn 4 and then again up toward turn 6, because he certainly had the momentum to, and he's made bigger moves than what those two would have been. Another half a second for Ryan in his hunt after Gramenos. Larson, though, only 2.5 seconds back from Ryan. So speaking of teammates, Ryan now has a bit of a decision to make. Does he focus on his own pit strategy and try to run at peak pace for a few more laps? Or does he decide to play the teammate game and help out S2K by holding up Larson a little bit? And judging by the fact that he has continued to close in on Gramenos by about a second in half a lap, I would imagine he's going for the first option. Gramenos' tire is really starting to fall off here. Realistically needs to go another lap before he can make one final stop onto the softs. Realistically, we'll probably want to go a few more than that, so that way his final set of tires don't completely die out on him. Ryan now only 7.5 back from Gramenos. Larson 2 seconds back from Ryan. And King slowly falling back now 2.5 from Larson. So top 5 all still in a very interesting mix here. King, I don't think King is going to be in position to try to win the race today, but he is certainly in the best position to finish 3rd. Oh, but a big slide of oversteer for him, though. Going through turn 8. Very lucky to be able to catch that. Able to hold on to it for now. S2K still out front now with a 15-second lead over Gramenos. Right, Ryan's had a mistake somewhere. Ryan is second slower that lap compared to what he's been running. Might have had a bit of a slide somewhere. I apologize, I missed that. That has now left him basically with Larson right up his gearbox. Now what do these two drivers do in terms of how they decide to go about their battle? Get ready for fireworks, because there's certainly no love lost between these two. Ryan once again really hanging on to it. And this is absolutely going to start costing Larson some time here. Both of them exiting Jungsao. Ryan using the overtake to pull away a little bit again on the exit. Gramenos into the pits for what should be his final time, and like I said, 20 laps to go. He is into the pits for what should be a final set of softs. Larson looking to the outside, going to try to cross him over. Nothing doing yet. And Gramenos is out on another set of softs. So we'll see what that gap is to King, and see if Gramenos can try to close in on that. Though he's only got 29% fuel left. With still 20 laps remaining, so he's got to... I think he might need to be a little bit careful with how much fuel he has left. Alright, so confirmed, Larson and King not teammates. Got it. Apologies for that. Oh, Ryan very wide through the final corner. That's going to allow Larson to get up alongside him. These two now going to drag race. Both of them no overtake, so this is just pure pace out of these two cars. Who's got less downforce on it? Who's going to be braver on the brakes? A little bit of contact made down the straight. They're going to fire it under the brakes into turn one. Still side by side. Larson with the inside lane's going to take it. Ryan, though, going to try to fight back with the slipstream. Going to look to the inside on Larson again. Not going to be able to make the move happen, though. But this is also going to bring King right back into it. Ryan going to look up the inside again. Not going to be able to make a move happen. Contact is made. King hard into the back end. How did he not pick up front wing damage? Ryan had to jump on the brakes. He had a compromised line going into turn 6. I'm surprised King did not pick up front wing damage. Not necessarily either driver's fault, but Ryan definitely held up both Larson and then subsequently King, as he will finally jump into the pit lane to get onto his final set of softs. So King now back within a second of Larson. Fairly equal tires between the two of them. But with that defensive job by Ryan, S2K should now be sat pretty here with about a pit stop gap back to Larson. And of course with nearly half of his overtake still to use, so he should once again be able to just drive right by him fairly easily here. Larson slowly starting to pull away again from King as S2K now jumps into the pits for his final stop of the race. Again, has to go onto the soft compound tire here to meet the tire requirements. He's got a 24-second gap here over Larson. We think that's about what the pit stop delta is. And S2K should be easily out of the pits and into first place here as they round the Curva del Sol, and S2K is out and still in the lead with just under 2 seconds advantage over Larson. So without the defensive measures from Ryan, one would think Larson probably would have been able to come out in front. But either way, he likely was not going to be able to hold on to that spot with having run half this race with no overtake left. And so that will very likely do it. S2K out in front. So as long as he doesn't have a repeat of Suzuka back in round 2, S2K should be pretty set to go on for his 7th win of the season. So the battle now turns to second place. Both Larson and King going to the end on these tires. And didn't I mention Gramenos a few little bit ago? 8 seconds, all that separates him and King, with 15 or so laps to go. Gramenos with another fastest lap of the race, by the way. We'll see how long he's able to hold on to that. Gramenos still has all of his overtake to use. There is a very real possibility he could catch King here for the podium. And that would be... no, not his first podium of the season, but his second. He was able to take a podium out back in Brands Hatch. So what can Gramenos do with a 7.5 second advantage? Can he find his way up to King? Ryan is a further 12 seconds back from Gramenos, but running purple sectors. S2K with the new fastest lap of the race now, a 14.1. So we have begun to match qualifying times. Ryan now over the line. Does he take fastest lap? No. 14.330. 2/10 back from S2K. Rybird jumps into the pits, by the way, from 8th place. S2K now with another purple sector for him. As he makes his way through the final corner and up the hill. I would imagine he will drain the overtake now to seal the fastest lap point. We'll see just how much he's able to shave off it this time by. New fastest lap, 1:13.725. And that very well trumps the 13.9 that we saw out of Larson in practice. Of course, don't believe practice times were set with overtakes, so Larson would still have that advantage to him, but nevertheless, S2K has been the dominant man of the day, like he has been for much of this season. Larson now boasts a 1.7 second lead over King. That gap, nearly 6.5 seconds. Gramenos behind King. Running fairly consistently in the high 14s. The mid to high 14s, I should say. King running fairly consistently, just over half a second slower per lap. So as long as Gramenos has enough fuel to continue to push to the end here, And again, I raised the point. He has all of the overtake available to him. So when does he start to use it? If I'm honest, I'm a little surprised he hasn't started to already. Another purple sector for Gramenos through the opening sector. 6.1 back. And just like Watkins Glen, this has been yet another barn burner of a race. Certainly much cleaner than Watkins Glen, but nevertheless, it has been very entertaining. And like always, Interlagos has absolutely delivered. 5.5 seconds now. He's taken a full second out of King this lap. King over the line of 15.6. Gramenos crosses the line this time by 14.6. That is a full second that time through. And with 11 laps remaining, Gramenos is well on pace to be able to catch. And this is also the halfway point for this stint on his tires. And I must say that wear looks a lot better than his previous stint. Likely thanks to the fuel burn. Probably also would have run a few more laps in cleaner air now that he didn't have Ryan in front of him for a lot of it. And he has continued to close in on this lap. King still has a little bit of overtake to use still. We'll see what his lap time is this time by. And it's a 15.4. Gramenos will cross the line at a 14.9. So a little bit slower than his previous lap. Probably starting to get a little bit into the fall-off territory now. But still gained about half a second that time. Can Gramenos find his way onto the podium? Larson actually had a bit of a scruffy lap last time by, 15.8. Lost half a second to King there. That last time by. So that could potentially help King out a little bit in terms of just getting a whiff of slipstream down the straights. Still not quite close enough to Larson to be dealing with too much dirty air. So he's kind of in that Goldilocks zone for where he would get about the optimal ratio for clean air versus slipstream. 15.6 that time through for King to a 15.2 for Gramenos. 0.4 again. Gramenos still yet to use the overtake button here. 9 laps to go. As long as he continue at about this 4.5, 5/10 per lap pace, he should be able to at least get to King by the end of it. King slowly dropping back now from Larson. Gap now back to 2 seconds. Gramenos now officially under 4. And Ryan is actually dropping back. Ryan is falling off the back of Gramenos here. He was 12 seconds back. He's now... What on earth happened? I thought he was 12 back. He's now nearly 14 back. 3.5 seconds, Gramnos to King. Still has all of the overtake left to use. Gotta be careful with track limits, though. Under 3.5 seconds. King will make his way through Jungsao, now 2.5 back from Larson. Gramenos closing in still. Gramenos over the line this time, a 15-1 to King's, another 15-6 for King. If he can keep pumping out those 14.9s, Gramenos is going to be in a very good spot here. Not a great opening sector for him, though, this time. It was both drivers break even. Can Gramenos find the lap time? As it looks like Method has unfortunately DNF'd late in the running. Not sure if it was crash damage that he retired or something else, but either way, we are now down to 9 cars left running, 6 laps to go. And Gramenos now under 3 seconds. Another 15-6 for King, but a 15-3 that time by for Gramenos. Tire wear potentially starting to kick in a little bit. Part of me is beginning to wonder if he even has the overtake button mapped, because I don't think this is the first time he's not used it in a race. Two and a half seconds now. He finds a lot of time through that middle sector, especially around turns 8, 9, and 10. And then turn 11 as well. As long as he can keep the lap together, he really closes in on King. Another 15-1. Another half a second. Gap now 2.3. The Senna S, it looks like the Senna S seems to be the one weak spot Gramenos seems to have. It's right on board with him as he continues to close in on King. Keeping a very tight line through turn 9, climbing the hill, arcing it into turn 10. Keeps it over to the left-hand side, an easy flat corner now as he runs it down into Jungsao. Late apex, good run out. Not using the overtake button yet, but got a very good run nonetheless. He's only going to close in by a couple tenths, though, on this lap. 15.4 that time. The lap time is tapering off. Does he have enough time to get there? Does he have enough tire to get there? 2 seconds, much better through the Senna S that time. Using a lot of curb at turn 4. Cost him a little bit of time. Little snap of oversteer, but still closing in a little bit. Under 2 seconds. And yet another great run out of Zhongzhou. 1.8. Could be down to 1.7 at the end of the straight. Does King start to use the overtake defensively? When does Gramenos even start to use it? He has not touched his overtake button yet for any of the 67 laps leading up to this point in the race. Gramenos, though, is a lot better for fuel, so he can afford to run the higher engine map. Larson's picked up a 1 second penalty. He's picked up potentially 2 separate track limit penalties. That could drop him into the clutches of King. This is not over for the battle for second. Does that back King up into Gramenos? Ryan has genuinely continued to drop back. I'm not sure what has gone on with the AMS driver. He has had a horrible stint on the soft tire. Gramenos 1.7. He hasn't gained so much on this lap, but we're coming to 2 to go. Larson has served the penalty. Here comes King, looking inside. He's going to use the overtake to get around Larson, and he will clear up into second place for now. But Larson has better tire wear, and likely a pace advantage. Can he get back around King? How much will this battle slow these two down? 2 laps to go here at Interlagos. Again, Larson doesn't have any overtake to pull off this pass. It is going to be purely off pace. Both drivers now trying to work their way through turn 8. King managing to pull away a little bit. Is the clean air worth enough that the tire advantage that Larson has isn't enough? They're going to be closing in with 1 lap to go here. Gramenos 1.5 back. Does Gramenos finally use the overtake button, or does he not use it at all? Final lap of the race. King currently holding on to second, 14.5 back from Super S2K. Larson running in third. That time penalty has destroyed potentially his chances at second place. A second back, and with the dirty air, I don't think he's going to be able to get to him. What can Gramenos do? Still yet to use the overtake. Can he get close enough to drain it down on the run to the line and drag race his way onto the podium? Because of the track limits penalties, I think King has managed to sneak away with second place. S2K will come across the line for his 7th win on the season. S2K not going to seal the title up just yet, but he has firmly got a hand on the trophy now. King will run it up to the start-finish line, and it won't be enough for Gramenos. King will come home second. Larson will be kicking himself that he gave away an easy second place. He will finish third. Gramados fought back to fourth, just didn't quite have enough tire left to make it. But he gave it his all. Well, I say gave it his all. He gave it, his tires certainly gave it all, everything. One can only wonder how much closer he would have gotten, if not passed, had he used the overtake button. Ryan will come home fifth in a rather disappointing finish for him, it must be said. First race off the podium that will count toward his final points tally. Super crosses the line sixth. Alex had been closing in, will come home seventh. Lester will finish eighth, and Rybird rounds out the grid in ninth of our finishers. My goodness, that certainly heated up in the final few laps. On-track action has come to a close, but don't go anywhere just yet. Post-race interviews coming in just a few moments.
Hello, hello, hello.
How's it going?
Pretty good, man. Not gonna lie.
Just give me a few moments and I'll make sure I can get everyone in here for post-race.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, there's Larson. And we're just waiting on King now, so give me one moment. Oh, wait, was King the driver who had the connection issues last time? Yeah, well, hopefully that's been fixed. There he is. King, can you hear me? Still connecting, all right. All right, I think he's connected. King, are you there? Can you hear me?
It looks like he's on mute. I don't know why.
No. Oh dear. I think we've still got the same issue again, unfortunately.
Yeah, his icon showing that it's like an audio cut, so it's like I think he has to turn on a setting where it should turn on, or he doesn't have a mic connected in general. I don't know.
Oh, I wonder if that might have been the issue then.
Like
he should still be able to hear us, though, no?
I think he should be able to. He might be able to hear. Again, I don't know the circumstance, but it's not allowing him to talk. It looks like, because I'm pretty sure he knows how to mute and unmute. So.
No. That's unfortunate. Okay. Well, for the sake of time, I guess we'll move forward. Post-race interviews. Unfortunately, like last week, we're not going to be able to hear from our second place finisher King. Unfortunately, just either audio or connect. Oh, he's going to try to join back. If he's able to connect, we'll absolutely have a word with him for the moment. We'll turn to our third place finisher, Larson. First time on the podium in the third place position. Obviously, you were in contention potentially for the win around the midway point of the race, and then looked like was it track limits that gave you a second worth of time penalty, or what happened?
Yeah, I got track limit and I ran wide twice, so I got 1 second each, and that one cost me 2 seconds every time. I lost a lot of time.
Absolutely, and then obviously we saw you certainly were quite liberal with the use of the overtake button earlier in the race. Do you think that might have cost you a chance at trying to fight back and getting back second place later in the running?
Yeah, maybe, possibly, yes, but I had to use it to overtake, otherwise I will get stuck behind Drift King, and I still got stuck behind him for a lot of time. So I had to use it.
All right. Well, third place, still a solid result on the day. Great result nonetheless, and hopefully we'll be able to see you on the podium a few more times later in the running.
Sure.
We're gonna try to get a word in from King here. King, can you hear me? It looked like you might have been able to. No, never mind. Unfortunate. So with that, I suppose we'll move on to our race winner, Super S2K, seventh win on the season. You got around Larson with about 30 or so laps to go and never really looked back after that. Was it a relatively easy race from your perspective, or was it just very well planned out?
None of these races are easy. The level of competition, at least for the front runners, is incredibly high, that you have to perform very well. I mean, let's say if I had also gotten a couple penalties, like a couple half seconds, I would have ended up behind Ink at the end of my last pit stop, and then my race could have been entirely different. So you have to execute, you have to do everything well, you have to do everything properly, because if you don't, that could hinder your race. And for me, I mean, I think I had a very well-driven race. No penalties, not really a snap of oversteer, just kind of keeping the car under me and pushing it to the limit without, obviously crashing. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And of course, I suppose with now only 2 races remaining on the schedule, we should talk about the championship scenario. Obviously, a great points haul over your teammate Ryan. Pretty much confirmed hand on the trophy at this point. Not mathematically sealed up just yet, but are you feeling confident going into High Speed Ring and Tokyo that you'll be able to take home the title?
Just those last 2 races, just being consistent. I'm not necessarily going to try to go for the win. Obviously, if I'm in a position to get the race win, I'm going to do everything in my power to get it. But if it means that I might get in a wreck, I'm just going to take a step back and just realize the bigger picture here, that I have a chance of getting the championship pretty early. So looking forward to the next couple of races.
All right. Likely only needs to score, or likely only just needs to score going into High Speed Ring next time out in a few weeks' time. So you heard it here, oh goodness gracious, heard it here first, folks. Super S2K going to be taking 0 risks in making sure that car gets back home to the finish line. We're going to give it a few more moments to try to get King into the party. Just unfortunate connection issues seem to be hindering that. But otherwise, that will do it for us here today. I'm going to quickly pull up the calendar and try to see when that High Speed Ring round is. It is November 15th, so just shy of a month from now. A little bit of a wait, but it'll certainly give all these drivers ample time to prepare for, in all honesty, what's probably the easiest circuit on the grid in terms of the fact that there's really only 2 braking opportunities on the track, but should be a very exciting race nonetheless from a spectator's perspective. I'm certainly very much looking forward to calling that race for you guys in a few weeks' time. So once again, November 15th, where it will be 69 laps ahead of us, potential for rain. So we'll keep our eyes on the radar for that. But with that said, I have been Scorpio Blade. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will see you in a few weeks' time. Goodbye.